Hello, hello, and welcome back to Navigating New Earth with me, your hostess with the closest thing to truth. I came up with that one the other day walking. Right, okay, so this is either a standalone part one, just a single video, where I'm going to recount the story of what happened to me in Malaysia, truly Asia. In March 2020 onwards. Well, actually, it was kind of November, but anyway, whatever. The whole story. I already recorded part one, but I kind of digressed a little bit. I can't help it. It's doing me head in. I keep trying to stay on point, but spirit comes in and spirit's got things to say, right? My higher self is like, oh. So anyway, for the purposes of this being a witness statement to be used in court, either the earth court or the courts of heaven, I'm going to stick to the facts as much as I can. So, where did I get to? In the last video, I was talking about how, when it all kicked off, I had a good friend staying with me, Quantum Mother T. And we both literally didn't speak. We got the messages. I don't know, maybe she got a message about, the whole planet's about to close down. And I'm like, you what? Spam, whatever. And then I'm getting the messages as well. And then things start happening, and we're looking at each other like, say what now? Like the whole planet is going to shut down on the same day? What? How does that even happen? So, obviously we went off digging, doing the research. People ask me, how do you know this? How do you know all this? What has she got that we don't? Who does she think she is? Well, I believe that everybody received an invitation to disclosure at that 2020, time. And it was a choice whether you wanted to actually, delve down into the deep, dark, dusty, dank corners of reality or not. And it would seem that the majority of people decided, I'm quite comfortable where I am. Thank you very much. I don't want to be dealing with all that dark stuff and ruining my vibe. And, this was something that even the light workers and the truthers, some of them were even saying, don't look at the dark stuff. We've just got to focus on the positive. Well, as somebody who's experienced a whole lot of the dark, dank, deep, dusty corners of reality, I knew the only way out is through. And so began a horrifying, lonely journey, uncovering horrific truths and actually at that time, I think Teresa, Quantum Mother T, was probably the only person that I could really honestly, communicate with and talk to. And it was exhausting. It was exhausting finding out all these things and also being attacked, by trolls and bots and all kinds of people. I couldn't open my mouth, type a word, take a step without somebody, in my reality, screaming abuse at me, threatening me, or, you know. Anyway, so there I was, obviously posting stuff on Facebook and everywhere, finding out lots of information about the way that the world really worked. Um, I'm trying to think what's the most important thing to say next, because I do want to talk about the order of the things that I discovered and uncovered, along with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people on the planet who wanted to know what was going on, because clearly something was. Can't believe it's almost 5 years later. Still there, I'm having to kind of try to convince people just to look a little bit deeper into what's going on, right? 5 years. Sorry, that's my dog. Have a dog. Betty Boo Bars. She's trying to get comfortable or hide a bone in her bed. Okay. So there we were. So I do want to talk about the order of the truth that came out and how it all connected and made sense, and also linked to my reality, my experiences. But just in terms of like how everything unfolded. So first we were banned from social media, attacked on social media. Then there was the Malaysia Freedom Movement, which wasn't a freedom movement and was completely infiltrated. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So at this point, once the narrative had been presented to the general public of the planet, and once it appeared that people had fallen for the narrative and everybody was putting on the mask and, ready for the shot, the jab. Um, where do you think that the three-letter agencies and the powers that were knew they had to focus the majority of their attention, time, and resources? Would it be on the tiny minority of people like me who were going to speak up? And is it impossible to imagine that they would have had a team of people kind of focused on these individuals that might be speaking out and, shaking things up and pointing out a few truths? Or is that conspiracy theory, paranoid, schizophrenic delusion? Anyway, something to ponder. Um, and so, yeah, it's been quite a ride because I already was a targeted individual before it kicked off. And yeah, that's without a shadow of a doubt. But anyway, honored to be so. At least it means I'm not barring. So, with that in mind, what was it that we discovered about reality, about the nature of reality? Well, first off, we discovered that there's a big kind of scam going on with the law, LAW, the land, air, and water jurisdiction BS, the matrix of doom and lies that was created to trap human souls in slavery and servitude and ignorance until kingdom come. Well, guess what? The kingdom is coming. It's already here. We've just got to kind of uncover it, point out where it is to people. It's here. It's on earth. And it's manifested through a different way of being and a different way of operating. And the way we've been operating thus far over, let's just say, the past 100 years, not very godly, not very befitting of a way of honoring our creator. And yeah, we're about to break out, baby. So we discovered that the law, the courts, the postal system had been hijacked. And then it had spread into the police, all the governments, education, energy, transport, commerce. I mean, everything in our reality now. If you think about your life, there isn't a single part of it that hasn't come under some form of control, where we're being told what to do, when to do it, how often to do it, how much to pay, when to pay, and woe betide you if you don't. And we've all, well, I haven't, but the majority of people have, I don't know, what, given up, surrendered? I mean, what's going on? What's going on? I walk around Lancashire. I don't know how many people I've spoken to in the past 2 years because I'm blocked, banned, and deleted. I don't have a voice in that way. So I have to get on my feet, walk around and talk to people. And so many people, when I say to them, look, we need to create an alternative council. We've got to sack Lancashire County Council, Blackpool Borough Council, Town Council, whatever the bloody hell they are, all these illegal, criminal organizations of doom, literal satanic organizations. I'm like, let's sack them, and here's an alternative. And people say, oh, it'll never happen. Or, well, good luck with that, love. Good luck. We wish you well. Well, the last time I checked, you lived here as well. It's all of our responsibility. We won't be given our freedom. We have to take it. It's to be taken. And once you stand up and you assert who you are and you know who you are, and it's no good listening to a few, common law things and trying to spout out some legal terminology or, have little things ready to go to the police if they stop you. It's not enough. We literally, you have to know it. You have to know who you are on this planet. You have to know how special, powerful, magical, incredible we are. Everything that's of the divine blueprint that comes from the God spark and emanates out of the ether into the various forms that are. Each of those forms is to be honored. And us at the center of each of who we are is absolutely supposed to honor what and who we are first, above everything else. Instead, we have an invisible system of doom, pretending it has authority over us and can tell us what to do, can charge certain amounts of money for things, which, let's face it, right now, have got absolutely no basis in any form of reality or value or anything at all. We're being completely shown how corrupt this reality is. And there is a choice. Like I said, it's a choice now. You're either going to stand up for what's right and what's good and for God, or you're not, which means you support Satan. Well, Satan just being the sort of agreed upon manifestation of low vibrational frequencies. And we'll get on to that, how your frequency creates your reality. I loved the guest that Richard Vobes had on yesterday. I actually must get in touch with her. I wish I could remember her name. Let me just check. Because she was speaking truth tea, although it did make me giggle a bit when she mentioned about the satanic stuff, because that made Richard a little bit nervous because he knows that a lot of his audience are not ready for that information. But it's the tip of the top of all of it. It's the foundational underlying underpinning issue is that we're in a frequency war, and we refer to the higher frequencies as God and light and the angelic realms or whatever, right? Benevolent, beauty, grace, and we refer to the lower frequencies as satanic or Luciferian or but it's just a low vibration that makes you feel a certain way, and we all have a frequency match on the scale from low to high. And it's just about choosing where you want to be. Where's your frequency at? And vibrating at your authentic frequency. There's nothing wrong with a lower or right with a higher frequency. It is what it is. But the problem is, in the earth realm, what happened was we had our free will um, intercepted and hijacked, and we've been lied to and tricked using language and rules and regulations and bullying and psychological manipulation like you wouldn't believe, to control us. And it was all about this time because make no mistake, we're rebalancing everything. It's being rebalanced, and the truth is coming out so that people now have all the information to make the choice. All right. And there's no judgment. The only person that's going to judge you is you, or your higher self is going to judge how you're behaving in this reality. And your higher self calls the shots. And if you're not paying attention, it's going to kind of like navigate you into situations and circumstances where you're going to learn a little bit more about frequency and how to navigate it. All right. I know I've gone off on a tangent again, but it's important. This is the truth. This is the basic, simple truth of our reality and how we are able to take hold of be the chariot, take hold of the reins and direct our lives the way we want to. So, yeah, so all the truth was coming out about the law. We had the Russell J. Gould. At the same time, we had all the pizza stuff coming out, the trafficking, the horrific things that were being doing, unspeakable things, which were absolutely mind-splinteringly unbearable. Then, of course, we had Trump, a trumpet doing all his stuff, right? And I have to say, after having watched him on Joe Rogan, the 3 hour convo and a few little nuggets of truth. I mean, he comments on Elon. Yeah, he's not from this planet. He talks about the invisible enemy within, which is basically the internal battle between the good and, doing what's right and doing what's wrong. He didn't deny extraterrestrial existence. And we are going to be having first contact soon. We are. But you can't interact with them unless you're on that higher frequency. All right. It's a meeting in the middle. And I'm pretty sure the extra dimensional beings have kind of, they're meeting us halfway. It's us that has to do the work now to kind of meet them, but which means raising your vibration to do so. And if you don't want to, that's great, but don't be trying to stop those that do. There's a lot of sabotage and envy and jealousy and like, I'll be damned if I can't do it, you're not going to do it. It's so ugly and childish. So yeah, we were learning about how corrupt everything was, how everything was controlled by systems, how politicians and councillors knew the way the world worked and knew that if you got into politics, you could earn a pretty penny by screwing people over. I mean, can you imagine? They must have been walking around like, oh God, look at them. They're so stupid. We'll screw them if they don't realize it's their fault. Hmm. Well, guess what? You've been played too, suckers. And we're all going to watch you now as you're the ones who didn't quite realize that God was real, maybe, and that you were going to get your asses kicked. It doesn't feel very nice, does it? No, no, it doesn't, does it? It's a horrible feeling, isn't it? Oh, yeah. So you're now being the equivalent of gaslit to heck and back. All right. But I think I've said this quite a few times. Just have to go and talk to somebody, relieve yourself of what you know, and all will be well. You will be welcomed back with our open arms, no matter what you've done, because there's only the now. And so I am digressing again. I just don't seem to be able to help myself. Yeah, so then, all this truth is coming out. I'm going around talking about stuff all over the place. I'm not wearing a mask. And then a video of me goes viral, not wearing a mask, right? And it went on for 3 months, and the police came, and then the Health Minister, Kerry Jalmaluddin. Kyrie looked like Demon, or the ladies thinking he's so hot one. Oh, he's so handsome. I will take this job because he's so handsome. Oh, Malaysia is a very sexualized country, let me tell you. Um, really not a nice way. And there's Kyrie telling me, when in Malaysia, no, when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. When in Malaysia, you do as the Malays do. And I'm like, what? The police, it was just a joke. But I just didn't answer the door. I didn't interact with them. The media were outside waiting to get me on camera. So, and then of course I would have contracted. I would have gone out and I would have admitted I'm having a conversation, right? But I didn't. I mean, they must have been going mental because all the powers that be would have been watching. They needed me to go out. And yeah, all the Malaysia Freedom Movement people kept telling me, go outside, you've got to go and pay the fine. Everybody's calling me up, pay the fine, pay the fine. I'm so glad I didn't pay the fine because if I had, I would have been entering into a contract and admitting I'd done something wrong. And I always knew I've done anything wrong. I've not done anything. What do you mean put a mask on? What are you on about? Eh? What? And for that, I was called stubborn. I was spat at, was laughed at. I was dropped, defamed, humiliated, embarrassed, attacked demonically. Uh, yeah. But you know what? Still here. And it all makes more and more sense every day. And what was I talking about at the time? I was talking about Donald Trump, Q, white hats, Galactic Alliance, a plan to save the world and save humanity. I was talking about how we needed to come together, raise our frequency and vibration. And I was trying to teach people methods for um, bringing themselves into balance, right? So that they could access the divine technology that we were born with. These fine vessels are actually spaceships. That's why, the whole maritime law, we are ships, we're vessels, and we carry our soul on board. This is where you live. This is where your soul lives because you are your soul. You're not your body. And this is what they've been trying to cover up. They've been trying to make us think we're just the body, all right? And they've done this whole spell. They've created this whole system and spell around the birth certificate. And I tell you, I mean, how did you know? How did you know? How come you know? How did you know? How do you know? Well, because certain information resonates, doesn't it? It just feels right, even if it feels uncomfortable or you don't want it to be right. It's like, oh God, it's just that feeling. And I just knew, I've always known that there was going to come a day when something like God was going to show up and put everything right. I just knew it. And I do say to people now as I go around, I always, and I've said from the beginning, 4.5+ years ago, amazing things are coming. Amazing things are coming. I just know it. I know it. I mean, we can talk about all the patents and the hidden technologies and the amazing systems of grace and glory that can replace the systems of doom, just like that. Just like that. They're already done. They're already in place. We're just waiting for people to wake up and say, I want to just try a different system, a different way. I'm sacking Lancashire County Council. I'm just going to go and join this council and pay my money there, which, by the way, will be a lot less because everything that Lancashire County Council and companies, and they are public listed, illegal, criminal, mind-bogglingly evil, private companies taking the piss in ways you can't even imagine, as well as, yeah, we'll leave it for there right now. That's a conversation for another time as we get a little bit further into the shit. Like I said, it's very gnarly and it's brain breakingly bad. But where was I up to? So sorry, I was talking about the Trump queue, the plan to save the world, and and people were popping up, and I was listening to Ricardo Bosi, Derek Johnson. I mean, I was in all these American chat rooms, live conversational chats and talking to people about insane stuff and about plans for the future and about, you know, focusing on the positive, focusing on the solutions, but also we have to guide people through what's happened, the horrors of this clown show that we've all been subject to for the past, let's just say, 100 years, right? Massive things have happened. Unbelievable, impossible things have been done to screw with us that we can't even believe would be real. And they are totally real. But it's okay because ultimately it's all a hologram. It's all an illusion. So it's okay. Now, don't worry. I'm not saying that. But the fact is, it is. It is an illusion. And, once you understand that, once you start to actually become the gatekeeper of your mind, you can take control. It's a battle of wills that we're in, a literal battle of wills. And when you know that you are the sovereign one, that you are the one in power, that you pay the wages of these so-called councils, you're the boss, you start to live your life a little bit differently. Do you know what I mean? You stop being afraid and you start being powerful, but in a way of getting things organized in the correct way, and taking no more crap. All right, it's over. It's over. The old patriarchal prison planet, capped frequency, energy harvesting, limited, backward, soul-sucking way of creating in this realm is over. And we are now making way for expansion, growth, creation, beauty, grace, joy, compassion, freedom, extrovertness, authenticity. You know, we're all different. We're all here to offer something completely different. When we don't want to become automatons, we don't want to become like robots and copies of each other. Think about it. It's such a loser thing to do. And yet somehow everything's been kind of flipped. Like if you're unique and different and have something, I'm trying to not use the word unique and different. And you have something interesting and unusual to offer. This is supposed to be celebrated, not feared. Oh, look at you. Oh, no, you stand out. Oh, you're different. Oh, get out. It's like whack-a-mole. That's that game. I don't even know if that's the name of the game. But anyway, you know what I mean. And I keep repeating myself. I keep saying the same things over and over because, everybody, it's like people just can't hear me. They can't seem to hear what I'm trying to say. And they don't have to. That's fine. Maybe I'm not supposed to say anything. Maybe I'm supposed to just be writing. Do it that way. So, yeah, the Malaysian government came after me for 3 months plus. I think I might have mentioned in the last video, but just in case I don't post it, and I only post this one, I remember going to Mexico June 22, and the immigration officers, if you want to call them that, they weren't wearing masks. And they were laughing and they were like, oh, you Karen Dior. And for those who don't know, if this video is the first you're hearing, you can search Karen Dior, as in Christian Dior, but Karen, as in, I'm a Karen. And it turns out Karen Dior's a 70s porn star. Honestly. It's like they had the name ready to go. And they're my initials, KD, Kerry de Courcy. Karen. It's insane. You can't make this stuff up. And yeah, Karen Dior KLCC, you'll see me. But most of the stuff that was written, said, done has been removed because they know it was a witch hunt and a very terrifying one, actually. You know, can you imagine everyone in the world, it seems, yelling and screaming at you, do the right thing, turn yourself in. Yeah, it's a pretty insane place to be in your life. I don't think anyone actually put themselves in my position to think about what it must have felt like. And I think people still can't do that because they know they don't want to have to deal with how shit they're going to feel about how alone I was. And I'm not here to say I told you so. And I keep coming up with this, but I'm just a bit confused how no one has reached out to say, oh shit. When it's pretty obvious now what's going on. It's so obvious. I mean, and I'm not coming out. I'm so glad that I've mentioned Trump and Q and the white hats and all that. I'm actually going to roll a cigarette while I talk because I struggle with my ADHD to focus on these videos. I should just get my crochet. Anyway, let's have a little rolly because nicotine and COVID. Um, and because we're all literally waiting for bated breath to see what happens on the 5th of November, which is also the day that I'm going to be chatting to a certain national treasure of England by the name of Richard. Richard. So yeah, look, I know I'm rambling and I'm a bit all over the place, and I hope that maybe the tones of my voice are providing some, information in different ways and not just my words. But we have been in a plan to take over the world. Literally, a bunch of silly, naughty boys decided it would be hilarious to control the whole planet. And they had all these ridiculous, stupid ways to do it. And it's not happening. It's just not happening. And people are waking up. More and more people are waking up, and more people are realizing for themselves that we've been screwed with the food. I feel like I've got to rhyme everything else now. We've been lied to about the climate change. I mean, I know it's really difficult to see the whole climate thing because it really does look like we're in the middle of some climate change BS. But I just keep going, no, but it's man-made climate change and it's not us. It's not us. And another thing, stop blaming humans, stop blaming humanity for what's going down at the time. Blame those who would be in control of humanity, who would mind control, manipulate, and literally traumatize us into behaving in certain ways which are not beneficial. And how do I know all this? How do I know all this stuff? How was I able to resonate as the truth was coming out? How was I able to know that I was dealing with utter evil BS? Because of things that had happened in my life, all the lies, the betrayals, the gaslighting, just the total BS. When you're being abused, your abuser is going to try and lure you in. If they think you're sussing them out, they're going to be really nice to you and they're going to offer you things. And then they're going to, flip. Then they're going to make out it's your fault. And, I mean, literally classic. One of the first things that people were saying about this whole, the government, it's like, this whole thing with the government and what's been done is it's like being in an abusive relationship and having to get out. And, people seem to think, oh, we're going to cope without the government. Oh, well, guess what? Not only are you going to cope, you're going to thrive. And I have a feeling, I mean, think about it. How is everything still running? I mean, we know that there's a lot of people at the top have been taken out and we're working our way down. And then we're just going to be left with a big list of the people, on our level like around us in the everyday, that list will come out. Here are your local criminals. Feel free to bring them in for processing to one of the FEMA camps that has been um that was originally intended for people like me. So I would have my head chopped off by a nice Chanel guillotine. This is real. It's real. But I believe the guillotines are being used for other purposes now, or for other beings who have refused to play ball, to return back to creator, to the light, whatever. And that's fine. That's fine. That's their choice. Okay. But this planet, this realm was not created for evil, or it wasn't created to be a slave planet. So that's where you all went wrong, you negative alien agenda, you ET naughty children, you. It's a free planet, it's a free quadrant. And there's a new sheriff or bunch of sheriffs in town, and things are going to change in ways you can't even imagine. All right. I mean, imagine this 15-minute cures for cancer. Ooh, bit of light and sound therapy. Mm, mm. Sounds very nice to me. And we have been completely and utterly taken for a ride with the, pharmaceutical industry because they've lied to us about everything. And yeah, it all needs an overhaul. Education, medicine, commerce, and business, because come on, £3.50 for a cup of tea. You're having a laugh, aren't you? It's a bit of a tea bag, isn't it? Are you charging me rent for using the cup? Although I do know that the energy bills are extortionate, but it's just getting silly now, isn't it? People getting very silly, and people think we're stuck. People think we're trapped. I mean, it's so crazy when you're in it, how real it is. But guess what? We're not. We're free. We're totally free until we say we're not. We're completely free until we say we're not. And yeah, you know what? If you're in the trap of social media and you like football and going to the movies and spending money and buying shit and, following what the pop stars are doing, although we're all starting to realize that that's all a load of nonsense, well, then have at it. But there's so much more to life. And if you want to kind of think, if you want to go forward and create, think about what you loved doing as a kid. Think about your dream as a child, what you always wanted to be, what you thought, where you thought you'd end up, and investigate that realm again. And remember, you know, we've got each other. Although, my time back in England over the past 2 years has been extremely lonely because everybody's 6 feet apart. It's insane. And everybody's so scared of each other. It's very, very sad. And, we are going to have to pull together with what's coming up now because the truth is coming out and it is dark and it is terrible, but we need to transmute it and get past it. And then we have the absolute joy, freedom, and privilege to start to create in ways that are beautiful, joyful, as I said, expansive, and just, full of beauty and grace and everything that we'd always hoped for. And I know that it's very easy to be like, oh, it's a pipe dream. Yeah, good luck, love. It'll never happen. But it is going to happen. It's happening. It's just whether you're going to be involved in it happening and whether you can open up your heart, your eyes, and your ears and take that step to be part of it. Literally, be part of the beginning of this. That's what the cool kids are going to look like. And anyone that's denying it, anyone that's trolling, bitching, backstabbing, negating, they're either involved in shady shit or they've just lost connection to the soul and they've got no ability to imagine joyful things anymore. Well, for me, I can't imagine a more hilariously brilliant God storyline of God showing up on the planet, to sort things out than an amazing group of angelic military coming through at this time as the veil is thinning to work with the Earth Alliance military, who are in opposition to the industrial military complex, who have been controlling us. They've been the trafficking enablers, racketeering. They support, they protect the cabal, all these military mercenaries and all that. These evil men who've sold their souls. Um, they're all defecting to the real God force, people protecting military, which every day is gathering momentum, taking out the evil all over the planet. That's why it's taken so long. There's so many people sold their souls. And when you go in and you arrest these people, it's a huge, huge thing because even though the military tribunal is only 2 minutes, how would you like to die? Because here's the evidence that you're guilty of, or unless you want to provide us with information, in which case you can live out the rest of your days and die naturally in a pleasant cell. Um, it's not just about the people. You've got to contact all their family, all their friends and acquaintances. And they all have to sign non-disclosure agreements not to spill the beans or talk about what's going on because this is a worldwide takedown of evil. And certain factions of it cannot be tipped off. They can't know what's coming. And this isn't just about arresting evil. It's about saving lives of humans who are being trafficked in the most horrific, horrific circumstances that you just wouldn't even want to spend a second thinking about because it's too awful. So, make no mistake, this is happening. It's happening and it's a spiritual war and everything's connected and it's multidimensional. So everything's on different levels and you can't just take things at face value because it is extremely, well, it's amazing. And there truly isn't a better time to be alive. But it is also, it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster ride, to say the least, isn't it? It's, you really need to sort of develop control over your adrenals. Otherwise, you can't survive. So, yeah, it's really, it's really, really quite unbelievable times for sure. So, buckle up, buttercups, is all I can say. And, try not to be so dismissive of things just because you find it scary. Just open up your hearts, open up your minds, and just think, is it possible that because of the way that Donald Trump, A, had become so famous everywhere, B, had a lot of admirers and supporters, C, had done a lot, written books, created the best business models in the world, he knew a lot of these Hollywood people. He was able to infiltrate into places that needed to be infiltrated. He had his own money. His uncle was a very famous inventor, and he was a professor at MIT who knew Nikola Tesla. I mean, look, there's so much information about all of this that when you actually start, uncovering it and connecting the dots, it's so obvious what's happening on the planet, and that Mr. Trump would have been, um, you know, misrepresented, defamed. I mean, there's fake Trumps and CGI. We know it. We know it. These people are terrified. I mean, if they're gonna mess around with me, like little old me, and def I mean, the things that have happened are insane. And like I said, if any lawyers are watching and fancy helping me take the Malaysian government to court for what they did to me, I'm happy to contemplate it. Although I do believe that there's going to be a lot going on soon. Sorry, I'm always messing around my hair. It's always moving around. Um, you know, there's a lot going on. I don't know if I've got time to go down that road. But at the same time, people need to be taught a lesson. So I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if I've managed to explain. I haven't gone into the terror and the awfulness of what happened the day that, I was the 14-hour standoff with the police, or should I say the government, the government, the demonic entities of the Malaysian Commonwealth, Malaysia being England's little bitch and gatekeeper of Southeast Asia, trafficking islands. All right. So, yeah, that's my story. It's been a bit crazy. And then I came back to England expecting things to be really amazing and that everybody was going to be completely awake. And I was going to be like, woo, let's go. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be home. And it was worse than Malaysia. And if Malaysia's a third world country, England's a fifth or sixth world country. But it's full of people who think they're in a first world country. Although I do think they're starting to realize that they're not. Most people are starting to realize that England is pretty screwed. However, only screwed if you stay in the system of doom. Okay. Look, there's so many things I want to talk about, millions and billions of things. I might have to just start doing these really short 15 to 20-minute videos when I get these ideas. Like now, I want to talk about how abundant the planet is. I mean, crikey, we've been so removed from nature and the way this amazing, incredible, abundant planet works and how everything just comes out of the ether. I grew tomatoes this year and it's the first time I've grown anything. I mean, it was insane. It was amazing. This little tiny cutting became this huge, enormous thing. I got loads of tomatoes. Even without the sun, they turned red. Now, they weren't amazing because I suspect that they might have been, it might have been a GMO cutting, but we have to get back to this. We've got to get back to this growing our own, have your own food. You are a king if you've got your own food and shelter. And if they weren't messing around with the weather here, there's enough room for everybody to go and live in a hedge or under a tree. There's little dips under hedges. You can go and put blankets and pillows. I mean, it's like that's how we lived, barefoot, walking on the springy grass. It wasn't like it is now. Everything's been weaponized, nettles taking over. We love nettles in their correct places, not where they're taking over, attacking us. Although then again, I suppose actually I get why they are. But anyway, I don't want to get off on that. I just want to say that, I just know from things that have happened to me and what I've been up against and how strongly I've been attacked that I'm on the money. I'm kind of on the right thing. Do you know what I mean? I have to be. And so, if you want to go against me, if you want to attack me, judge me, hate me, go ahead. Go ahead. Take it all out on me. I'll be like your mummy, the mum who just takes all the crap of the temper tantrum kid. Love you all. I do love everybody. I have to. We have to. That's what it's about. We've got to surrender. All right, look, I don't even know if I've what I've spoken about and if I've said what I wanted to say. I do want to talk about other things, but I just wanted to get this Malaysia story out of the way. Um, it was all fake, it was a mandate. They knew it was fake. And the only way that they can get you is if you enter into any form of communication or contract with them. So just don't bother. And I know there are people who go, oh, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. You can. I mean, obviously, if you've got into a situation, you're going to have to get yourself out in some way. But that's why you just go quiet and get divine guidance. But, we're going to talk about all this more. And, especially now that more people are waking up. So I'm going to end there and I will be back. And I will either post part one, which is saying much of the same thing, or I'm just going to post this one. The reason I'm about post one, the first video I did, was that after a couple of minutes, I decided to play a song. And I got onto YouTube and I screen shared a song. But when I played it back, it was just, I don't know. I mean, it can't be copyright, can it? Because it's already on YouTube for free. Strange. So it kind of ruined that video a bit, but I might just post it and say skip from minute 3 to 7. and hear the rest. I'll see. You know, I try to plan and I try to be organized, but it's there's just too much going on. Anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll be back soon. And my next topic for sure is who are you? Until next time, cheerio.